Look at him go. Proof positive that the power is in the super shears. Sir, try cutting that branch with regular clippers. Go ahead. Hurry up. What's the matter? Now try super shears. What do you think?
Incredible.
Prune all day, save your hands. Super shears are not sold in stores. Send only $12.98 to Super Shears at this address now. You'll also get the illustrated guide, Pruning is Easy. Order more than one set of Super Shears and take $2 off every additional set you order. Order now.
You're watching Channel 5. From ABC News, World News Sunday, here's Forrest Sawyer.
Good evening. The rain delay in the Women's U.S. Open Golf Tournament continues. Here is the latest news of the day. The latest standoff between Saddam Hussein and the United Nations was finally resolved. UN inspectors have been pressing to enter the Iraqi Agriculture Ministry, where they will be looking for evidence of Saddam's secret weapons program. President Bush says Iraq's obstruction of the UN inspections cannot be tolerated, while in Baghdad, Iraqi officials tell ABC News there may be more to come. We begin with Pentagon correspondent Bob Zelnick.
Under the agreement, Iraq will permit UN inspectors to return Tuesday to the Agriculture Ministry to search for materials related to Baghdad's nuclear weapons program. But unlike the team that was forced to withdraw, the inspectors that enter the building will include no U.S. or British representatives. And since any incriminating material will likely have been destroyed or removed, Iraq's defiance was at least partially rewarded.
We are satisfied. We believe that the crisis, or if you call it a crisis, is over.
Returning from Camp David this afternoon, President Bush indicated that the immediate threat of military confrontation has passed, but he strongly condemned Iraqi actions.
The international community cannot tolerate continued Iraqi defiance of the United Nations and the rule of law, and there is too much at stake for the region, for the United Nations, and for the world.
The White House says there are still unresolved issues. It accuses Saddam Hussein of violating other Security Council resolutions by launching new attacks against unarmed Iraqi Shiites, blocking food supplies for the Kurds, and expelling private volunteer organizations trying to administer humanitarian relief.
On Kuwait, he's refused to accept the UN Boundary Commission. He's now starting to talk again about Kuwait being a province of Iraq.
Intelligence sources say Saddam Hussein's recent confrontational approach may reflect political desperation following an unsuccessful coup attempt against him last month. Officials say tighter sanction enforcement and even renewed bombing could further erode his internal support. But by resolving the inspection dispute, Iraq clearly checked the already limited appetite in the international community for renewed bombing.
Arms control has demonstrated how that it is that the way to destroy weapons and not through bombing and attacks.
4 times since the Gulf War ended, Saddam Hussein has moved to the brink of confrontation, only to back off under the threat of renewed bombing. Each time, his actions remind Americans that whatever the war accomplished, it left one big job undone. Bob Zelnick, ABC News at the Pentagon.
Correspondent Sheila McVicker is in Baghdad following the latest developments. Sheila, to Western observers, it would appear that Saddam is playing his usual game of brinkmanship, pushing things right to the edge and then finally blinking. Now, you've been talking to Iraqi officials today. How are they reading things?
Well, basically, I think in Iraq, what has happened today at the United Nations will be portrayed as a victory. Iraq, by taking its stand and not permitting the inspectors into the Ministry of Agriculture, has obliged the United Nations to negotiate with it over access to the building. They will say that the issue of their sovereignty has been preserved, and they've also been able to negotiate and have some demands met as to the composition of the UN teams. That will be very important to Iraq in the coming weeks as issues get even more difficult to resolve.
Sheila, do they believe that this crisis is, from a Western point of view, all about trying to get the Iraqis to follow the UN resolutions, or do they believe that there's something more to it than that?
The Iraqis believe that the United Nations is basically a U.S.-inspired and U.S.-directed body, and that everything that comes at them from the United Nations basically is directed at them from the Bush administration. They believe, for example, that if this particular confrontation had gone to military action, it would have been the aim of the Bush administration to topple the regime here. They also believe, and one senior Iraqi official told me, that given the nature of the issues which have to be resolved in the coming months and their difficult nature, that they believe that military confrontation is inevitable.
This suggests that they don't have a great deal of interest in complying fully with the UN resolutions, does it?
Basically, their point of view is that they have signed the Gulf War ceasefire resolution. They have to abide by that. They're going to try to push as far as they can those walls. So we're going to see more examples of this brinkmanship, more examples of taking it to the limit and then stepping back, but having gained a little ground in the meantime. And as this one Iraqi official said to me, perhaps in the end it will come to military confrontation.
A turbulent 2 months ahead. Sheila McVicker in Baghdad. Thank you very much, Sheila. In other news today, the special prosecutor in the Iran-contra investigation will reportedly decide over the next 10 days whether to indict former President Reagan for conspiring to cover up the scandal. The Washington Post reports Lawrence Walsh is also considering indictments against former Attorney General Edwin Meese, former Secretary of State George Shultz, and former Chief of Staff Donald Reagan. 3 trainloads of refugees from the fighting in Bosnia-Herzegovina pulled into the German town of Una today. This part of the largest wave of European refugees since World War II. With heavy fighting still reported in the former Yugoslav Republic, Germany is urging other European nations to accept more refugees. In Rome, Pope John Paul made his first public appearance after surgery to remove a tumor. John Paul greeted well-wishers from a hospital window. He is said to be recovered, but still in need of rest. And coming up, Democrat Bill Clinton has some supportive words for President Bush and his handling of the international showdown with Iraq. Vice President Quayle revs up for the fall campaign. And later in the broadcast, why there's a whole lot of shaking going on in Burlington, Vermont.
World News Sunday, brought to you by the Discover Card.
So you just got a cash advance, did you? Too bad you used an ordinary credit card, because you could be carrying some very heavy interest charges. Why not carry the Discover Card? Just pay your full monthly balance and a small transaction fee, and we'll forget the interest, which means our money comes with no strings attached. It pays to Discover.
I make a better burger than anybody. Absolutely the best. Best in the world. I let it sizzle. When I hear it, I know it's ready. Wait, it's not done. Now, it's done.
A1. It's how burgers are done.
Nabisco shredded wheat. It's just good stuff.
Political news at home. The Democratic presidential ticket appeared to be speaking in 2 voices today. Vice presidential candidate Al Gore blamed the recent crisis in Iraq on the Bush administration's, quote, terrible mismanagement of foreign policy. And he said Mr. Bush should reverse his policy of giving short shrift to Democratic elements inside Iraq. Presidential candidate Bill Clinton was far less critical today. Jim Wooten has more.
After services at a Black Baptist church this morning, Clinton reiterated his support for the president's policies on Iraq.
If the facts as reported are accurate, then he's doing, in my judgment, what has to be done. We have to insist that the ceasefire agreement is honored.
And he endorsed continuing pressure on Iraq to comply with all UN requirements. Still, on this weekend West Coast swing, only reporters have shown much interest in foreign affairs. The candidate and the voters are focusing elsewhere, closer to home.
What's more important, a spotted owl or people like me?
People like you, but I don't think that's the real choice, you know.
For over an hour last night in this live local broadcast, every question was on domestic issues. Gay men and women in the military? Yes, said Clinton. Condoms distributed to students? Up to the local school boards. His marital fidelity?
And I have answered questions that this president has never been asked personally. I have told you all I think you're entitled to know about my life.
And just as he won't discuss that, he won't be drawn into a debate with the White House on foreign affairs. Why should he? His crowds are huge, his polls are encouraging, and for the moment, he is one happy candidate.
Thank you, Seattle. This is amazing.
But Governor Clinton understands, as does most everybody else, that his sudden midsummer surge, like the once soaring popularity of George Bush, could just as suddenly plunge. In a campaign so volatile, with an electorate so fickle, 100 days is long enough for political fortunes to be made or lost. Jim Wooten, ABC News, Seattle.
As for the Republicans returning to the White House tonight, President Bush said no comment when he was asked about rampant speculation that James Baker may soon be resigning as Secretary of State to rescue the slumping Bush campaign. Today on This Week with David Brinkley, Baker's #2 at the State Department suggested that speculation is groundless.
I'm saying that Jim Baker will be the Secretary of State for some long period of time, and all of this speculation about his departing within the next week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks, I think is nonsense.
Vice President Quayle was out campaigning today in Alabama, a state where leading Republicans have been urging Mr. Quayle to relinquish his spot on the GOP ticket in order to help the president. Quayle's response, he's staying. Here's ABC's Ann Compton.
Gentlemen, start your engine.
Dan Quayle sped into the final 100 days of this campaign, insisting the issue of his place on the Republican ticket is closed. President Bush, he said, never considered dropping him.
The president has never wavered on this issue, privately or publicly. And we're going to continue to take our campaign to the people. And if you could see the reaction of people today, I think we're doing very well in Alabama.
You say that it's the opponents, it's the media, and it's the hand-wringers who are still talking about Dan Quayle's place on the ticket. Why are there even hand-wringers this year?
You got opponents out there, you've got the media out there that would like to divert attention from the real issues of the day. The real issue is economic growth, jobs, leadership, qualification. Who is best prepared to lead this nation for the next 4 years?
As for the polls, which say as many as half the voters would just as soon Dan Quayle be off the Republican ticket, Vice President says he'll ignore the polls. Many conservative voters have never felt close to President Bush. Quayle's job is to try to shore up support by raising issues like family values. But even with the popularity of that theme, the South will be a struggle for Republicans this year against a Democratic ticket which can call the South home. Ann Compton, ABC News, Talladega, Alabama.
A sad note this evening. In the 1960s, she topped the charts with records like Two Lovers and My Guy. Today, Motown star Mary Wells died in Los Angeles after a long fight against cancer. Mary Wells was 49 years old. We'll be back in a moment.
Over the past 30 years, more people have taken one brand of sleep aid more than any other for a good night's sleep. Sominex. Sominex has the one ingredient doctors recommend most to help you fall asleep safely without worry. Safe, simple Sominex.
Suddenly, vitamins are all over the news.
Fact is, 2 out of 3 adults don't get all that's recommended in their diets.
2 out of 3?
Wonder if I'm getting the vitamins I should.
There is a cereal, though, that has 100% of 10 essential vitamins. Whole Grain Total.
Of course.
Just one bowl gives you a full day's allowance of these vitamins. Total. One bowl, 100%.
With all the vitamin news, I'm eating Total.
Of course. Morning breath.
Once you're married, you get used to it.
Deep down, you know it's a problem.
I don't smell anything.
Lucky you.
Morning breath. If I had it, they'd tell me.
Ignoring morning breath won't make it go away. Scope will. Its 2 powerful ingredients kill 90% of the bacteria that cause morning breath.
Was my morning breath really a big problem? Oh.
There's no denying it's a problem. Kiss morning breath goodbye with Scope.
Feel so young.
Promise Extra Light Spread. Half the saturated fat and calories of margarine and a taste you'll enjoy with all your heart.
You make me feel so young.
Now Promise Extra Light in sticks. Get heart smart.
Now you don't need a prescription to get prescription-strength medicine for itches and rashes. Introducing new maximum-strength Cortaid. Now with twice the healing medicine. New maximum-strength Cortaid. Prescription strength without a prescription.
Other news overseas this evening. After the brutal murders of 2 anti-mafia judges, Italy's government airlifted troops to Sicily today to join the fight against the mob. 7,000 soldiers will be stationed there to assist local authorities. Japan's ruling Liberal Democratic Party was the big winner in today's parliamentary elections, but that big win came in a record low turnout. Only half of Japan's registered voters went to the polls. And the Soviet anthem rang out on warships across Russia today for the last time. The death of the old Soviet Union and the resurrection of the Russian Republic was played out in ceremonies at every port where a Russian warship was docked. David Ensor was at the port of Severomorsk.
Proceed.
Lower the flag, came the order, as the Soviet hammer and sickle came down from Russian ships today, forever. In its place, the Blue Cross of St. Andrew, the Navy ensign chosen nearly 300 years ago by Tsar Peter the Great. In Severomorsk, the Northern Fleet's home port, well above the Arctic Circle, a brisk breeze as each ship's company welcomed the new symbol of Russian military might. Navy brass are hoping the new flag may help boost pride at a time when for many Russians a career in the military is losing some of its appeal. The captain of a Russian destroyer told us that while morale remains high on his ship, some Navy officers are quitting to go into business. In Moscow, the Navy's commander says he cannot maintain a modern force without more money.
Today, for the first time since Peter the Great, we don't have the money to begin construction of a single warship. And if the Navy does not get new ships, it will die a slow death.
In Severomorsk today, the Russian Navy put on an impressive show, even as officials spoke of their problems. Problems such as the danger of nuclear accidents on aging ships, and the dispute with Ukraine over which Soviet ships will become Ukrainian, not Russian. Because of that dispute, St. Andrew's Blue Cross will not, for now, replace the hammer and sickle over ships in the Black Sea. Getting rid of old symbols, it turns out, is easier to agree on than choosing new ones. David Ensor, ABC News, Severomorsk.
And coming up next, Ray Gandolf and today's sports report. What's going on tonight, Ray?
Well, Forrest, we have some Olympic results and a lot of golf, including a champion who is getting his just desserts, finally.
Never seen nothing like it. I mean, Rusty Slade was an ornery sort. Always ate his old Bran Flakes just for fiber. But one morning, I gave him Kellogg's new complete Bran Flakes. Weren't the same. More than fiber, they had whole grain wheat. Flakes were new too, crispy, crunchy. Why, that Kellogg's complete Bran Flakes even had a better nutty taste. It was all so good, made Rusty smile. Almost. New Kellogg's complete Bran Flakes. Fiber and then some.
This vehicle has a number of features that make it an extremely secure place to put money. So does this one. The Lexus LS400. With the highest retained value in its class, it's like money in the bank.
I try to ignore my sensitive teeth, but they hurt.
Don't ignore your sensitive teeth. Sensodyne helps stop the pain that can make you stop brushing. Could lead even to tooth loss.
Thanks, Sensodyne.
Sensodyne helps stop the pain of sensitive teeth.
Today, Tech-Tread Shoe Corporation announced a major retail expansion in 25 U.S. cities.
When I see a company that looks like a good investment, I check it out myself.
We make it easier to follow your own lead.
At Charles Schwab, I can get quotes, financial news, and when I make a trade, commission savings.
Always there to give you just the help you need.
Help yourself at Schwab today.
Do you get diarrhea too?
Yes, I get diarrhea. My immediate reaction is, oh my gosh, I'm in trouble. I use Kaopectate because it works.
Kaopectate stops my diarrhea. I rely on it.
Would you put a 12-year-old to work on a railroad? It may be a great way to connect schoolwork with the real world. On ABC's World News Tonight with Peter Jennings this week.
Ray Gandolf is in New York, tanned and rested from his vacation. Welcome back, Ray.
Thank you, Forrest. At the Olympics today, the U.S. basketball team beat Angola by 68 points. And U.S. swimmers won 3 medals. Nelson Diebel, a gold in the 100-meter breaststroke, Jenny Thompson, a silver in the women's 100-meter freestyle, and Summer Sanders, a bronze in the women's 400-meter individual medley. Miguel Indurain of Spain won his 2nd straight Tour de France, 4.5 minutes ahead of the field. Andy Hampston, the top American, finished 4th. In Oakmont, Pennsylvania, rain has halted play at the U.S. Women's Open Golf Tournament, with Julie Inkster leading Patty Sheehan by 2 strokes with 2 holes to play. Parr won the British Senior Open. South Africa's John Fourie, who was the only man who broke par. He won by 3 shots. The current U.S. senior champion, Larry Laoretti, was a hoo-hee till a couple of weeks ago. Now he has fame, and he's working on a fortune.
See these new cigars there? Larry Laoretti, U.S. Senior Open Golf Champion. Isn't that nice? Like spicy meatballs.
For Larry Laoretti, life in the fast lane begins at 53. Began 2 weeks ago when he won the Senior Open Championship, his first victory on any tour.
First one ever. What a beautiful way to win on a U.S. Senior Open. I mean, you know, you can win any tournament in the world, but to win with the title of the U.S. Golf Association behind you, it makes all the difference in the world.
Laoretti is appreciative because until he joined the senior tour 3 years ago, he scratched out a living as a club pro and, of course, a little hustling, including a couple of years in Las Vegas.
We used to play for a few dollars out there, and I think that's what really got me, you know, not afraid of anything. We used to play for some pretty good pesos out there, you know, and when you're playing for money, it's a little different than playing for somebody else's money.
You have noticed the cigar. In his mouth or in his hand, every moment of every round. He would smoke them anyway, but since he joined the senior tour, Laoretti has been on the manufacturer's payroll.
$5. And you get $19.50 worth of cigars. So I need the money.
Do you get the 5?
No. He gets the rest.
What are you guys looking at?
Laoretti.
Oh, I thought that was a centerfold.
I think the tour office had gotten one letter from some woman, thought it was not nice to see a guy figures smoking on the golf course, but it might have a problem, I don't know. But I'm not going to quit smoking. Nice 40s music. All the comforts of home.
Laoretti's main mode of travel from tournament to tournament is a well-appointed mobile home because his wife and 3-year-old son accompany him most of the time. But not to Newport, Rhode Island, where we caught up with him this past week, and he said he intends to play every event on the tour.
Well, I don't do anything else. I go fishing once in a while, but I can fish out here too, so I might as well play. I'm still young. I'm only 53. I got another 10, 15 years to go yet.
And they promise to be good years.
Banana time.
With nearly $300,000 in earnings so far this year and a half-dozen sponsors mailing checks, Larry Laoretti, who started out on the tour 3 years ago with $110 in his pocket, has found the Big Rock Candy Mountain.
How can you not have fun? They treat you like God every place you go. They give you food, they give you cars, they give you sometimes hotel rooms. I mean, what is there not to like out here?
Laoretti finished that Newport tournament today at even par, 12 shots behind the winner, Jim Dent. He made another $2,873. What's there not to like indeed? Forrest?
All right, thank you, Ray. When we come back, the Movers and the Shakers pairing up in Burlington, Vermont.
I am a father of 6 and a firefighter and a paramedic, so I require a great deal of energy.
Steve Cook just tried breakfast with grape nuts for a week.
Grape nuts kept me going. Every single morning I felt good.
Grape nuts, the fat-free natural energy source.
I love grape nuts. I like the fact that it stayed crunchy in the milk. I'm sold on the grape nuts, and I'll stick with the grape nuts forever.
Breakfast with post-grape nut cereal helps keep you going strong all morning long.
I think after a week, anyone would be sold on grape nuts.
Of all denture adhesives, only one holds the strongest, and it's just taken a turn for the better. Fixodent's new Easy Twist Cap. It's bigger, it's a snap to open, and it's one more reason to Fixodent and forget it.
If your doctor has recommended Metamucil and you like the results, but you don't like those glasses of thick liquid, change to FiberCon. Get the same fiber action in easy-to-swallow tablets. Get doctor-recommended FiberCon.
Death from friendly fire during the Gulf War. Who's to blame? An exclusive interview with an accused officer and the mother of the soldier who died on the next Good Morning America.
Our last word tonight, hobbies. They're supposed to be good for you. They help you escape the troubles of everyday life. But for some people, hobbies become an addiction. Charles Murphy reports on a group of people whose obsession has lured them to Burlington, Vermont, hoping to add some spice to their lives.
You've seen them around people's houses, at garage sales, in gift shops, those cute little critters with holes in their heads. But did you know they have a national convention?
I got $42.50. I want $45 for the running pheasants.
That's right. It was in Burlington, Vermont, and there were a whole lot of shakers there.
I have a little over 11,000, and I'm still finding the ones that I don't have yet.
What they do here is buy and sell shakers to each other. Jean-Robert de Cavel is the chef. Guess what he buys?
I'm collecting all of the salt and pepper with a chef hat.
Judy Hankins buys shakers shaped like commercial products.
They're Westinghouse washer and dryer salt and pepper shakers in plastic.
And guess who Joyce and Bob Gentile bought for $95? The main reason the hobby's popular is because it's so affordable.
You don't go around buying Picassos by the thousand. Exactly. You can have thousands of salt and pepper shakers because you can pick them up for a couple of dollars a pair.
Maria Corbanis saw these loving giraffes and...
I just got hooked. I just couldn't help it. Everything's too adorable.
People who get into this say, be careful. This is a hobby that can get out of hand. Would you want your house to look like this?
This is a neat one here.
Joanne Rose and friends have 2,000 pairs for sale here. Joanne has another 17,000 at home.
I'm really buying and selling to support my own habit.
Get too carried away here and you can turn into a shaker. Watch Fork and Spoon become humanoids. Squash turns into Squash Person. The Dutch Mill comes alive. And the Gentiles come as the cute couple from their collection. You got to have holes in your head to do this. By the way, there's a singles club here of lonely shakers, all with missing mates. If you see their mates, send them on home. Charles Murphy, ABC News, Burlington, Vermont.
That is World News Sunday. I'm Forrest Sawyer. For all of us at ABC News, good night.
From Washington, this has been World News Sunday.
This has been a presentation of ABC News. More Americans get their news from ABC News than from any other source.
Sunday.
Hi, we're two struggling actresses. We're saving the world. Get real.
Bette Midler and Shelley Long are taking their act on the road. Outrageous Fortune, Sunday.
Every 8-ounce bag of Kraft shredded mozzarella is made from 2 quarts of milk. How do they do that?
Well, 2 giants pour the milk into...